We are live. Thank you for joining us in Cthulhu and Cairo. We are reviewing, what is it again, Amanda? What episodes?
52 through 56.
Mm.
No,
54.
54 through 56. See, I can't.
The next three.
The next three.
54 through 56. I knew
Exactly.
that.
The
I
next three.
literally.
You know
Three
what?
more from whatever we did last show.
Exactly right. It's the content that matters, right? Exactly. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. Since these three scenarios really centered around the ladies, I'm going to allow the ladies to kind of take the driver's seat in the review. What they thought about the show, and again, I just want to thank everybody for joining us. Amanda, Melinda, Raz, the keeper, and harsh taskmaster of the Bardic College, yeah,
And myself, Matt.
and myself, Matt, yeah, and don't forget me, don't forget me.
God damn.
Good Lord, it's a good thing I'm pretty, right? Good thing I'm pretty. But anyway, you guys all take care, and jump in and where you think about these episodes.
I just want to say, I listened the first episode, and of course, it ends with the person that they have captured. Essentially, is Matthew. And I emailed or messaged Raz and was like, Matthew, are you fucking serious? Question mark, exclamation point. And then left him because I was listening, and he messaged back and was like, yeah, I mean, is that where you're going to leave this? Like, you just messaged me this, Matthew, question mark, exclamation point.
Are we talking about a character or that dick DM? Is that, which one?
No, I just
got to be specific.
Him?
That's kind of where Raz left us at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
To be fair. Yeah.
I felt so vindicated after this. Like, it was powerful. I loved it. I loved the first two episodes. Of course, the third episode is kind of an introduction, but those two episodes, 54 and 55, were so good. So good. Just, I was literally, I could not take a break. I listened to them back to back, no breaks, sitting in my car, listening to them like, oh my God, are they going to really kill him? Is this the end of him? Like, because I thought he was going to be a big boss kind of guy. And I was like, they're going to fucking kill him. He's going to die.
So did Raz. So did Raz.
I liked those two episodes because even though there was so much in them and they were so good, they were also very, I don't want to say lighthearted, because the action happening was definitely not lighthearted. But the interaction, I feel like we got a little more interaction from the players around the table as well. And I enjoyed that because it was down to the three. And for part of it, Ella was off practicing flying the plane. Yeah. So I enjoyed that interaction as well, because that's what you get when you're sitting around a table.
Right.
Yeah.
People who don't RPG, do the tabletop RPGs a lot. It's kind of what it's like. You're sitting there, you're what? And then they're back into character.
Exactly.
And there were so many good lines. And of course, the only one I can remember right now is the deep end of weird, which was just beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the segue into that, my three big takeaways from these three episodes is, one, nothing unifies a fractured party like revenge. Yeah. I mean, because they were fucked, and then they were like, "Oh, we can focus on you." We're all united in that, right? Maybe not in the same way, but we're all united, and that motherfucker's in trouble. But
the guy in the chair
is in serious trouble. Two, if you want amazing role play with women. it's just the way it is. Call me sexist, I don't care. It's just been my experience as 30 something years as a GM.
Yep.
They make you step up.
The energy is different, and
Yeah,
I
the energy
noticed
is
that
totally
in
different.
these 3 episodes until
Yeah.
Scott rejoined them.
Yeah, definitely role play.
The
But
energy with an all-female table.
yeah, it made Scott step up with his Russian character in this too. It definitely elevated him. It was like, because he's seen what they were doing, I'm sure, in the other 2 episodes, and he's like, okay, and he just steps right in.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, again, call me sexist if you want, but damn, and again, every time I run a game where the majority is women, I know I'm in for a fucking excellent game.
Mm-hmm.
Much more role play, ROLE play, rather than ROLL play. Exactly. Exactly. And then probably, yeah, like you were saying about lines, probably nothing could be better than that line right there. That is just the tops of lines in the scenario.
That was gold.
It was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was so good. I mean, there was nothing more petty and just the cattiest fucking line I've ever heard, probably, in a campaign. I was like,
Faye of all people, Sweet Faye.
Yeah.
Sweet Faye? I'm sorry, what?
Sweet Faye. And that's the thing too. Again, listening to them role play, it's like we've got the crass American and then the really crass American, and then Ella comes in and it's like, I'm sorry, who vomited the 1820s into this room? Because it's all, oh, how lovely. And isn't that wonderful? I'm like, I'm sorry, Catherine, Darcy's coming along with the 4 liveried footmen to take us in the carriage. I'm like,
Yeah.
My God, her role playing, her acting, I'm not sure which term to use. When she was reading Matthew, that blew me away. That whole bit was just incredible. I don't know how much you fed her before she went off, but
most of Kayla, when she's in Ella doing her reads, I give her like a bullet, like maybe 4 bullets, and then I let her fill in, and I basically play off of her. So yeah, she does a lot of it. The big one, when she first entered the room when Aveline had been killed, thought that was right. That was off the chain for me. But yeah, she really takes the psychic concept and tries to run with it. And every once in a while, she'll paint me into a little bit of a corner. I'm like, but for the most part, she's playing off what she knows as a character, as a player.
Yeah.
She's trying to give a little bit of insight. Yeah, she does a good job with it.
She was so necessary in that scene to allow Catherine to let go.
Mm-hmm.
Because you there was that moment where you reminded Faye of what Catherine did for her dad, and that knowledge that she really needed to. If Catherine couldn't kill Matthew, then Faye needed to do it for her, just like Catherine killed Faye's father for Faye. But that addition of Ella in that scene was so integral to allow Catherine to realize that he had to die.
Yeah.
It's
when you're playing with friends of so many years. And Matt, here's the opposite side when women versus men play. Mm-hmm. I think if 2 men are in that situation, there's not this confrontation of, you killed my fiance, da 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 da. It's going to be, bro, I put her down. Mm-hmm. Bro, it's going to be, we're up here, right? The women, they are paid harder, and that scene, like, what are you doing? This was somebody I cared about. You had no right, which is why I had to keep pressing that little red button like this, because I'm going, all right, listen, guys, we're at this major moment, and you're just going to go, all right, I'll put the gun away. We'll listen to the crazy psychopath. No, shoot him. I felt like I was on the crocodile hunter. The crocodile, what is it? Crocodile hunters? What were they called? maybe it isn't a big thing in the Northeast. They used to have it on Discovery. Shoot them. The croc. They go down the swamp. Oh, swamp.
Oh, swamp people. Yeah,
Swamp
now I
people.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And like, shoot them. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm like, just shoot them. And Faye wasn't going to do it because of Lauren and Melinda.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about it, yeah, Faye owed him that. I mean, Faye needed to give him a shot. So
yeah,
I love that Faye shot him.
yeah, it works.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, if they hadn't brought those kids back from the mountain, if they hadn't brought like Shiva and Anya back, they get turned over to Matthew. The smuggler turns them over because that was his plan originally anyway. He's worked with Matthew in the past. He's like, oh yeah, okay, come on back in. Yeah, you're done.
You know what? Just throw in some child trafficking too. Why not? You know,
well,
just,
there you go.
You know, just to make him just that much more of a shitheel.
Art.
It's art, right? But I had no idea that. I didn't know that they were going to bring the girls back, and when they did, I went, "This is going to change a big portion of what I'm doing." But I mean, that's the whole point, right? That's why we run it. They're writing the story with me. I have notes, but at the end of the day, GMs roll with it.
Oh yeah.
They have.
I mean, whether you're writing stuff for yourself or you're working from somebody else's scenario, stuff like that. I mean, I was running Star Trek for some guys last night, and they're all Star Trek savvy, and that I challenge any GM to find a harder game to run for people who are knowledgeable about that world.
I can imagine,
because science is the magic. Science breaks everything.
Yep.
Dune.
Yeah, well, Dune there still has its limitations as far as like technology.
True.
Star Trek, science is magic. I mean, they can literally do anything if they can throw out the right technobabble term, and so it really keeps you on your terms, on your toes.
Yeah.
I think Dune it's the challenge of your knowledge of the material versus another person's knowledge of the material. You know.
It's not the science. It's just how much they know about
familiarity. Yeah,
the history of it.
But the technobabble in Star Trek is insane.
Oh yeah. Oh, this ship's over here is completely depowered. Oh well, we'll just transfer power through the radar dish or whatever, the forward deflector
dish, reflector,
the forward reflector array. To power up that ship. Oh well, there goes 3 pages of adventure. Exactly.
There is actually a very good book called The Science of Star Trek, by the way. I recommend.
Yeah.
Written
Excellent.
by a physicist.
Cool. Excellent. So I mean, 3 really awesome episodes, a lot of fun stuff happening in it. The whole Matthew incident was amazing. And it was just the most harrowing of plane rides. Completely safe plane ride, but the inside the cabin, a little tense.
and I give you a tip of the hat. I did not see Matthew popping up again so soon. That was a lovely surprise.
Yeah, I would not have guessed that for the world.
Yeah, like I said, it wasn't supposed to go that way. I thought,
but it was great. Like, it was great. It was. If that wasn't how it was supposed to go, then I'm grateful for what changed it into that, because that dynamic added so much depth to all of the characters in that scene. It added. For Ella, it cemented them, I think, in that group. Like it elevated their bond together. And then, of course, Faye and Catherine,
do the thing, the thing.
The thing.
Do the
I've
thing.
never done it on a living person.
Do the thing.
It was great. So if it wasn't your original intention, then I'm glad that shifted, because it added such a human aspect to the series. Like, Catherine had to face him one-on-one, and if he had come back as some kind of big boss guy and in a different situation, she wouldn't have been granted that closure that helped elevate her character. And I think that was so dynamic and wonderful that I'm grateful that it shifted from your original plan in that aspect.
Yeah, I was too. I happy the way that it came out. Catherine's had moments where I don't know if as you listen, it's, I had Matthew, maybe I lean towards women, maybe I lean towards men. So Catherine kind of bounces, right? Catherine's like this ball when you're reading the sub captions and the kids are singing to the music. Catherine kind of bounces around. And then I gave her this one moment and when they were in the first time they entered in Nepal, where that one doctor says, "Would you like to come train with me and work with me in the East? I'm opening up a hospital. I've heard so much about you. Your skill sets are so high. Get away from me. You're crowding me." Okay, well, there you go. So here, and it's funny to this day, we keep laughing at her about that. Like, Catherine, someone has been nice to you.
You could just sailed off into the sunset with Miss Dr. Goodbar,
right, and had a wonderful existence. But you looked at him and went, "Fuck you doing? Get out of here." I'm like,
boring.
Vanilla. So yeah,
maybe she'd have met him in the beginning in England. She might have had different.
You mean? What do you mean my dress? What's wrong with it? Okay,
wrong with dress. Yeah, you know what? We're done.
Oh, and you were totally evil for leaving Faye about to shoot Matthew and saying, and I think that's where we'll leave it for this week. Wow. And you can hear Lauren is just losing.
But yeah, I mean, again,
she's worked herself up over this.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, in that part, I mean, that's like what you're talking about. It's not going as you planned, but it shows the dichotomy of like a great player group and a great GM that are willing to sacrifice their parts of the story for the story.
Right.
It doesn't go the way you're planned, hardly ever. But as long as the story's good, it's amazing. I mean, just having a chat, about the whole current OGL debacle, not to bring that in here, but people been buzzing me constantly about this, that, and the other. And I'm like, look, it doesn't really matter to you as long as you're all telling a good story. I told almost every one of them the same thing. It doesn't matter what game you're playing. I know you. You just want to tell a story. You don't care what it is.
Yep.
We could be making a game with Lincoln Logs. I don't care. But as long as we're all telling a good story, that's what it is. And they're all like, yeah, you're right. I was like, there you go.
Yeah. When the players, the one thing that we haven't really talked about in all these review shows is how much they buy into the fact that it's a show, not just their game. So that they understand that I'm going to break at a certain time. They understand, you know what I mean? And we all kind of talked about that in depth before we ever started recording. And then the fact that they keep to it, like we've had breaks, through the holidays and stuff where I've left them stranded, like on a cliff, just and they then have to come back and click into it and be back on point almost immediately. And they're willing to do that for the show, for the listener, more than just their character. Because a lot of times you'd be like, "Oh, come on, don't be like that. Let's finish it." Today we were running, and we stopped it at a point where you're like, "What?" But you get to that mark of an hour, and you're like, "This is about where I got to cut it out." So you try to build to that, but sometimes it's hard as a player to just let that hang. Yeah. And a week, 2 weeks go by, and you get back on mic, and you're like, okay, back to Matthew. Back to the problem. Yeah, I can't build that. That's them. That's all them.
And the beauty is, I didn't feel like you had that gap. I don't know if this was a case where you recorded those particular episodes back to back or not, but it didn't feel like there was that pause.
The girls had 2 weeks.
Still right there.
So the girls were 2 weeks alone. So there was a break in one of those episodes. There would have been a stop where we would have had to carry it on.
They did excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Tune in after Christmas for season 2 of The Rookie. Exactly.
Exactly.
And I have to say, moving to Russia, I'm looking forward to these. I wasn't thinking about it until they started into Russia or the Soviet Union, that this is going to be this is probably going to be more foreign to them than Tibet was. Because you're being watched so much and everything is so restricted. And I don't know if the players realize, but single woman even traveling like that was very unusual. A group of 3 of them, heck, the fact that 3 of them want to continue going for the artifacts, even without anybody, without any men around.
Yep.
Is just incredible for the time period.
If you put it in this time, 100%.
Well, and they mentioned that, and he mentions, oh, you're just, women are just allowed to be in journalism, like
we are
allowed to do that there, like.
Oh, you can't go to the college. You can't go to university. No, you need
allowed to do that.
You need a special note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be so suspicious.
Melinda, you made an amazing point, because after we recorded about, I'm going to say 5, maybe 6 episodes in Russia, there was a conversation off mic, but it did happen. And it was exactly what you just said, that here they're thinking we're going to another European country, so this should be, but it was for the women from the United States and even England, right? Those women, no, it was like so different. And it wasn't that I kept pressing on the button that they were just a sexist, society. It was everybody was suspicious. Everybody was on top of them. Mm-hmm. Nobody like they needed a guide, but that was because of the language barrier. Yeah, there was a lot about Russia that they said was most foreign of any of the shows up till that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Western world, it tends to be more about, cooperation and working together and all that stuff. And then when they're in Nepal, it's like they're all just trying to survive. They can give a fuck less what you're doing, unless it's something to their advantage.
Yeah.
Where in Russia, it's like, how can I turn this into a situation for me to look good?
Yeah.
For the fatherland. How can I work this to my better? How can I screw you and look good at the same time?
Yeah.
My situation, just a smidge.
Exactly.
It's the fact that it might only improve their situation a smidge, but they're still desperate enough to do it, or terrified enough.
Yeah.
I could get vodka and a loaf of bread. Winner, chicken dinner, right? Exactly.
Chicken. I'll shoot somebody for a chicken.
Exactly. Who do I gotta kill?
It's like the Hound. I want to have your chicken, and I'm going to take that chicken dinner.
Exactly. We'll take all of it. Excellent. Anybody else has anything to say about these episodes, or?
I did want to ask Raz, because
she
there's
took
a
notes
moment.
and shit.
I did, because I didn't want to forget it. But
Awesome.
I know a lot of stuff like gets mentioned kind of, and then no one ever circles back to it. But the moment with Matthew, where he writes the letter to his daughter and tasks it with Faye to deliver it to her, does that come back? Because I am.
It's not done.
Okay, so it hasn't. Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Answer the question.
Remind me in that episode. Did they read it there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that happens, and then it's not over.
Yeah. Spoilers. No.
Yeah.
I was just curious because
calm.
it was very like. It was interesting that the dynamic between Matthew and Faye in that scene was very interesting, and it really stuck with me that she was, even through her hatred for Matthew, she was still able to say, "I'll do this for your daughter," because your daughter's an innocent person, and I'll do this for her.
Exactly,
so
like you said. I'm not doing this for you.
Right. But it really stuck with me that even through her hatred, and I'm not sure me as a person would have that same, like that's same, like, so. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. But it really stuck with me listening to that, that she was able to look past her hatred for him and still do that one thing that would be important to his daughter. And I was curious if that circled back at any point.
Faye afterwards said, Melinda said that it resonated a lot with her father. So another bad guy who had an innocent child. And she said she saw a lot of that in her own story. I mean, obviously the age difference is more between Matthew and his daughter than Richard Dawson and Melinda, right? She kind of went on digs with him and did other stuff. So she had him in her life a lot longer, but she saw that idea of, the daughter suffers for the father. and his sins. So she felt it really resonated with her to try to do something to fix that, which I thought was interesting. I thought it was a good play on it. So yeah, but it does keep coming. It comes up one more time.
Okay, I was just curious if it circled back because it was.
Yeah,
I found it very captivating.
Oh, good.
So
it's awesome for that.
And it was nice to see Scott show back up towards the end of the third of our episodes.
Yeah, Joel's out for a little while longer. Joel. It took us, I'm going to say another 2 or 3 shows before. So it was like weeks that we didn't see him.
I wondered.
And he just kept saying to me, tell me when, because I'm ready, but you tell me when it feels right. Okay. So we just kept holding on, and it finally got to a point where I'm like, okay, I can put you in now. And that was hard because I love his voice in the show. You know, whatever he's playing, he does a good job.
So solid.
He's solid. And I was really struggling because I'm like, I want to get him back, but we didn't want to just like Ella, we introduced immediately. And then we thought that wasn't really organic. And then we said, okay, Vadim will be when we get to that made sense. But where are we going to put this other guy? And yeah, so it took some time.
Does he manage to keep up that horrible Russian accent with broken English?
It is
absolutely.
Bad. It is bad.
He does
so bad.
I love it.
He does it for another 50-something episodes. He just eats it up.
Boris and Natasha bullshit going on.
He does it so well.
You've seen Moose and Flying Squirrel.
That he does. Yeah, he does. He doesn't break that voice too often. He's pretty good with that one.
Nice.
His Russian's pretty interesting. But
perfect. All right, guys. Well, I think that about wraps it up for us. Thank you guys so much for joining us as we talked about these episodes. And the next 3, we will be in Russia. Go deep in Russia, trying to figure out where the artifact is. So thank you guys so much for joining us for our review of Cthulhu and Cairo. Indeed. Thank you guys.
Everybody.
Good night. Bye. Have a good one.